Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Senator Booker for encouraging us to hold this hearing, important hearing. We want to thank all of you for coming as witnesses. My day job before I came here to the U.S. Senate was I was privileged to be governor of Delaware for 8 years and very actively involved in the National Governors Association. In Delaware, we don't have sheriff's jails. We don't have county jails or city jails. We have a state correctional system. We have one for adults. We have one for juveniles. My second term as governor, a fellow named Barry McCaffrey came to Delaware. General Barry McCaffrey retired, and he was at the time the nation's drug czar. And he wanted to come and visit a program in the city of Wilmington at Gander Hill Prison. And because we were doing a pretty good job in terms of reducing recidivism by about half, from about 75% to maybe 40%. He wanted to find out how we're doing it. He brought with him an ABC camera crew as well. I'll never forget, before he actually went into the prison and looked at the program to see how it worked, we met with about 50 inmates. And we met in a room much smaller than this room. And they're all in their white garb, and General McCaffrey, myself. And I'd been to many of their high schools, their middle schools, grade schools, their churches, their ball games, and I had some idea who some of them were. They knew who I was. And I said to the guys before we got started on the program part of the tour, I said to these 50 or so guys, most of them, I don't know, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. I said, how did you guys end up getting here? Like, what happened in your lives or didn't happen in your lives that led you here? About 5 or 6 guys spoke up before we took our tour, and they all told stories that were very similar. Very similar. I was born before, I was born when my mom was young. I never knew my dad. I ended up in kindergarten. Other kids could actually read. They knew their letters, they knew their numbers. I couldn't. I got in the first grade and I started falling behind. In the second grade, in the third grade, in the fourth grade, just falling further behind. And along about the fourth grade, one guy said, I realized if I just act up in class and just be a real nuisance, the teacher would stop calling on me. And so he'd put his head down and just stay out of trouble. And they said eventually, though, I'd be put out in the hall by about the 5th or 6th grade. And finally, when I was in the 7th or 8th grade, he said I was suspended from school. And for a while, he said, I like that, because I was no longer embarrassed by how little I knew. And he said when I was in the 9th grade, I got expelled. And I found myself on the outside. And in the world, he said, everybody wants to be popular. Guys like me want to be popular. He said, if you're a good athlete, you could be popular in school. If you're smart, you could be popular in school. If you're good with girls, you could be popular in school. He said, I was none of those. I was none of those. And he said, I was on the outside. I wanted to feel good about myself. And the only way I could feel good about myself was to take drugs or to consume alcohol. And when I did that, I felt good about myself. He said I didn't have any ability to pay for those things. I ended up in a life of crime, and I ended up in this prison. Every one of them told the same story. Same story. And the fellow who was the commissioner of corrections for me at the time was a fellow named Stan Taylor, wonderful guy, wonderful guy. He used to say to me, we can, 95%, 98% of the people that are incarcerated in our state are going to end up being released and come back into our society. And we can send them back out into society as better people, better parents, or better criminals. And he said, if it's our choice. It's our choice. And to an extent, it's a choice of the inmate themselves. So we're big on root causes in this committee. I'm big on root causes in this committee. And if we take young men, young women, not so young men, not so young women, actually do something about their addictions while they're incarcerated, that's helpful. If we do something about the lack of an education, that's helpful. If we do something about the lack of work skills, or actually the ability to get up in the morning and know they have a job to go to, that's helpful. All the above, all the above. The states are laboratories of democracy. We can learn a lot from them, and we can learn from one another. Today we're going to learn from you, and we look forward to this very much. And again, Corey, I just want to thank you for suggesting that we be here. Let's have a good hearing. Thank you.